that's a triple play. New episodes, I couldn't wait. Yeah, open your mind at the first gate. Press play, no need to debate. AoA, check me out. Look, plugged in, you can catch the hype. Golden Dawn, how we follow the light. Anime like life.
Hello and welcome back to the AoA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, with my boys Isaiah.
What's up?
And Gavin.
What's up?
What's down? Today we want to talk about a anime that has been popping up really everywhere. I don't know about you guys, but I've been seeing this for like every Crunchyroll advertisement. Everyone in these Facebook groups has been posting about it. Been trailers everywhere. Seems like the hype thing. And it kind of came out of nowhere, at least for me. It was like, oh, all of a sudden it's like this show's here and we're really stoked for it. And that show is Tower of God. So with that being said, since this was kind of like a trending topic, and being that we don't want to fall behind the times, we were like, well, why don't we talk about it? So at the time of recording, it is currently April 14th, and the show only has 2 episodes out. If you're on Crunchyroll and you don't have premium, that's only 1 episode. But if you take back roads and go on gogoanime.com, you can get the 2nd episode. But anyway, so 2 episodes out currently. And so we wanted to watch it and give our first impressions on the anime. Do we want to continue watching it? Do we recommend it to our friends and viewers? What did we like about it? What didn't we like about it? What are we excited to see, etc.? So obviously we don't have a plethora of information to go off of. Obviously we have not read the manga. And again, we've only watched 2 episodes, so it's not like a wellspring of information. But again, it's first impressions, so that's what we're here for today. So we wanted to talk about that with you guys. If you have any opinions or things that you want to get off your chest in regards to the show, or just in conversational pieces, feel free to throw those in the comments down below if you're on YouTube or anywhere that lets you comment. Also, make sure you are liking, subscribing, hitting the notification bell, sharing with your friends. If you like the content today, if you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, etc., make sure you guys are dropping a follow there. It really goes a long way. And hit us up on the socials. That's Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so you can keep up with what we are doing. And lastly, if you want to support us on that next level, hit us up on Patreon. That's patreon.com/AoA show. If you want to support us there, you get things like early access to our episodes, joining the exclusive community Discord, and many other things, all starting for as low as $1. But anyway, getting into it, Tower of God. Initial thoughts. I want you guys to go first, because, yeah, I'll ask, please.
I thought it was pretty cool. So the cool thing about this thing, for starters, is that it's not from a manga. It's from a Webtoon, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with, but they're kind of like just a, not mainstream, it's not the right term, but like it's a different version of comics, essentially. And I actually remember reading the Webtoon for this like a really long time ago when it first came out. And it's actually from South Korea, so it's not even from Japan. So they took the original Webtoon and animated it like Crunchyroll, and then they translated it into Japanese specifically for this anime. So this was like a co-production between Webtoons, like as a site, and Crunchyroll, which is partly why Crunchyroll is so big on advertising this, because it's kind of like one of their originals. But yeah, and so that's pretty cool. Which, like, I mean, you notice immediately, I guess, as the intro song kicks in, because it's like that's K-pop. Like, you know what I mean? It's very, very reminiscent of something that you would hear on, like, in South Korea, or like Korea in general. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I actually really liked those songs, the opening and ending songs. I wish that they had like an actual, like, I guess, more traditional like OP and ending, like as far as the animation. But I really like the songs, like, a lot.
That explains a lot, actually, and my apologies for completely being ignorant to all that before. I did not realize that. I did not know this was a Webtoon, because I've referred to manga before, which doesn't exist, and I did not know this was made in Korea, and that they did a collaboration. So that's really cool, and thank you for bringing that to light, so I feel a little bit smarter and not stupid. But that does explain the OP, like you were just getting into, because again, not knowing any of what you just said, watching it, I was like, what is so different about this, right? I was like, this is not your standard anime opening, and to be honest, I loved it, but maybe because it was different. So anyway, but
even like the art style reflects like that. It's very, that the show, you know, and I'm sure this was like part of Crunchyroll's like plan and their design, was to keep as much of that original, the webtoon or the comics original aesthetic, like, as much as possible. So, like, you know what I mean? Even just watching the first few opening scenes, you get a feel that, like, this is not, your standard traditional, I guess, like, 2D drawn animation, at least, like, what you're used to from seeing from, any, like, just pick a popular, animation studio from Japan. Which, again, is cool. I think, like, if you're looking, because I feel like, I mean, again, it's only 2 episodes, so I can't really speak to the plot, but, like, from what I've seen so far, it does seem pretty generic. So I think, like, until we get more of the story, like, this is a nice, cool way for it to, like, try and set itself apart and make itself seem like something, different or unique. Because, yeah, I don't know, because I feel, again, like, I feel weird speaking about the story, because it's like it's 2 episodes in, but, like, there's a lot of information thrown at you in the first 2 episodes, and, like, a lot of things happen that presumably, I guess, like, the way the show described, it's like most of it is luck, at least on the main character Bam's part. At least that's how they describe it, which, like, doesn't, I don't know, to me, I'm like, I don't know if that's gonna, like, I hope that there's more explanation, I guess, going into the back half or even the next couple episodes, as to, like, how he's going to last. I don't know how long this, like, the first season or whatever they're planning to do with it, how long the first stretch of episodes is going to be. But yeah, I'm definitely interested to see, like, how they plan on, like, cementing this into some sort of, like, viable plot.
Yeah, and honestly, piggybacking off of that, I feel like they're, like, naturally, the way they are progressing the story, there has to be more than just luck, because he himself doesn't know really his upbringing or life. Like, they had the little flashbacks of, him just waking up in more or less Rachel's arms, when she was like, he's like climbing up that hill, and, like, she, like, helped him and was like, who are you? He's like, I don't know, and all that shit. And, like, she kind of gave him purpose in life. But even at this point in the tower, he doesn't know why he was chosen, quote unquote, in a sense, and doesn't know his own purpose of where he lies in this new world. And part of it, I'm sure a majority of it is luck, but I don't think just as a show that's going to be, like, the crux. Well, I mean,
I feel like luck is going to play a big, like, a different. It's almost like a hidden mening in the word luck. Yeah. And I could be wrong here. Again, only 2 episodes, but the way I saw it is almost as if, like, Bam has been almost chosen by an entity that he doesn't even know exists or understands. And when they say things like luck, they really do mean luck. But I guess in Bam's case, like, that luck is almost predestined, if that makes sense. That's at least the way that I saw it in the first episodes, because if it was just strictly luck the whole time, then it's like, okay, it's not really, like, it's, I don't know, to me it isn't really as impressive, I guess, or like, the meaning doesn't have as much value, but the fact that it's like there's something going on behind the scenes, like they refer to him as, they say, a new monster is here, right, in the second episode, that one guy, or they're like, oh, he's an irregular, like, this is odd for him to be here, like, there's a lot of weird pieces in play. So I think that the word luck will probably come up more, but I think there's, like, if you peel it back, there's a hidden meaning. But anyway, Gavin, go on, because I was interested in your points.
Oh, no, that was really, I feel like he genuinely has a purpose in this world, and I can't wait to really, like, dissect it and figure out more about himself, where he came from, his past, his relationship with Rachel, because that's very kind of, like, obscure at the moment, and, like, what's happening with her, and, the whole, how he was kind of, like, meshed into this world, like, subconsciously, when, like, a chosen way. I don't know. I'm just, like, it's cool when you get a show as interesting as this early on, where, the ideas are pretty, they're used, they're common, like, they start out with the whole philosophical, like, what is destiny to you, and, like, names, like, the generic, like, reasons why people live and, like, fight for goals and stuff like that, and, that's cool. But it's nice to see, like, where shows take those, like, it takes that foundation and they expand on it and do their own, like, original twist to it. And I feel like just off the animation and the characters that they do have some originality going for them. And moving forward, I really hope that they are able to compound on that. And I'd imagine they are able to, but I don't know. It's interesting. I kind of got some like Sword Art vibes. I don't know. Did you get that too, Isaiah, in the beginning?
I know I did, and I didn't even watch fully Sword Art, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's different, but like the whole tower thing, like going, I don't know. It's just I was watching it and I felt very like Sword Arty, and that's
like
what I
plot?
think might drive the hype. What? Yeah,
You mean, like with the
Maybe the
tower,
whole
and
tower thing and the
yeah. Kind of like the intro. Like it just felt very Sword Art, and I feel like people are gonna like it because it's almost like that vibe, you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it's interesting.
Like grind to the top sort of deal. All right,
No. It makes sense. I was saying I agree with you in a sense. And again, I didn't watch much of Sword Art. I watched about 8 episodes, but I could definitely see where you draw that comparison. And I think it harkens back to what Isaiah was just saying in his previous point, where it's a lot of these concepts have already been used, and this isn't something that necessarily breaks the mold in terms of, I guess like its plot or anything like that. But I think what this show has going in its favor is that it is different. It was a webtoon. It is from Korea, etc. And I think that is what those small, minute changes is what makes this different, right? And just by definition. And I think to me, that's what pulls me as a viewer in. That it's like I've seen this before, but I haven't, right? And like we've talked about this many times. It's like a lot of times for me to hop on board with a new anime, it generally speaking has to be something that I've never seen before. And whether that means it's an entirely new style of story or way of telling it or whatever, like that generally is a precursor to whether I'm going to not necessarily like that show, but at least try and stick it out. And this show, I feel, was an example of that to a T, right? Because again, it's got so many similar tropes, but because the animation was different, because the soundtrack was kind of wacky, which is something I want to get into, because the OP was very different and it wasn't shot like that, because this is all of those things, I think that's what for me makes this a very, very interesting thing. And I don't know, I think that's my thoughts of that. And it also hits you, like Isaiah said, with a lot of info right off the bat, but I felt personally as if it wasn't too tough to follow. Like some shows, and those of you that have followed us will know, I know Gavin and I had our debate about it with Pat in in previous episodes, but generally speaking, I'm not a fan of when things are too fast paced, because if it starts throwing the plot out of whack, it kind of drives me nuts. But with this show, I felt that it was very fast paced, but I was still able to completely follow along with what was going on. Like, you know what I mean? And like even the things that I didn't know, I was fully confident that they'd be answered later, or that I didn't really need to know them if they weren't explicitly explained, if that makes sense. So I felt like I could continue along the wave that the show was bringing me to shore with, if that makes sense, and be totally fine with it, instead of being like, whoa, go back, like why is this that and everything like that. I just thought that was some interesting points. It was kind of piggybacking off of what Isaiah said, but I wanted to say it because I wholeheartedly agree in a lot of ways, with that. So I wanted to talk about the soundtrack and what your guys' thoughts were on that, because I personally really enjoyed the soundtrack in the episodes, not just the OP, not just the ED, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but like in the show itself had some wacky soundtracks.
I want to just nail one right before you fucking steal it from me, because I know
go ahead,
you are, because you're a whore. Right when that green bitch and two sword guy, remember when they were fighting? I think it was like during the second event. Yeah, dude, you love my description. All right.
I'm just laughing because I know you said you were gonna look up all the characters' names before we started recording, and have now already defaulted to green bitch and sword guy. So much for that.
All right. Here. No. A little backstory to that. So I was looking up the character names, but dude, literally, you can't even like type in a word on Google without it spoiling everything. Like, I just typed in Tower God characters, and I got way too much information that I didn't want to know or spoil for myself. So I was like, you know what, dude, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and go off the dome here. So yeah, green bitch and two sword guy. That's gonna be their new nickname. When they were like in that field about to fight, dude, the soundtrack music like in the background, that was fucking fire. Like at that moment, I was watching it and I'm vibing and I was pumped, dude. I was like getting hyped up. I'm like, yo, let's fucking go. And dude, that fight was sick. Like even though nothing like really happens, just like I don't know. That guy with the sword, he's a fucking badass, dude. He like threw that shit, it boomeranged around, and she like whipped her shit out and was like let's
They're
fucking
definitely
go.
both very
Poppy.
cocky, which makes their team dynamic interesting because it's like I get the vibe that they both think that they could do this totally on their own. And, you know, because when they have to team up, and I think that'll provide for some interesting banter, especially because they have the one guy on their team that thinks that he's actually hot shit and is not. He's kind of like the comedic relief. So, like, I think that team dynamic will be interesting. And, like, if they progress, it'll probably be off of their individual strength alone, not necessarily their teamwork. You know, there might be a turning point where it's like they have to use said teamwork, you know, in order to progress. I could be totally wrong on that. They might be eliminated in the next episode, but at least from what I saw, I could see that. But I totally agree with the soundtrack, Gavin, and you and I feel when it comes to like the artsy kind of shit or like abstract stuff generally line up in agreement there. And I thought not only the soundtrack was good, and just different, but I thought it fit very well. Like, I know a problem that I had with Pet way back, which also we debated on, was that I felt that the soundtrack didn't really fit for the scenes. Now, again, I know you disagreed on that, which, you know, is fine, but it's not that I didn't like the soundtrack, it's just that I thought that I couldn't meld them together. But like with this show, the soundtrack, again, equally as abstract, but I thought that when the scenes that they chose to play the specific songs for fit very well. Like there were many times where I literally got goosebumps because like a song would kick and it would just be some like weird-ish that you never heard before, but it would complement the scene so well. And I was like, this is really cool. And again, maybe it's just that it's very different, but I felt that it fit very well. Isaiah, what'd you think? Because I know Gavin and I are in agreement on that. I was curious. You generally might have different thoughts on the on like soundtracks and music and stuff like that. Curious to hear your thoughts.
Not really. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really notice any of like the OST stuff, any of the stuff that was playing like during the episodes. It kind of blended just like with the show, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I just like it didn't like, you know, it didn't like stick out in my head like, oh, this is like I just sort of like took it in as one package. But I did really like the opening and the ending songs. And I mean, I actually just listened to like a lot of K-pop like in my own, like in my spare time. So I'm somewhat familiar with the genre. But yeah, those songs fucking like that, they were good. I literally like have them up on my computer and have been listening to them like since I finished the episode.
Yo, send me those links because I'm not gonna lie, those were two songs that like I listened through both times without skipping, which for that's a big deal. And I was like, I could definitely see myself listening to these songs on a regular basis, like without this anime.
Yeah,
so I think
straight fire.
Yeah, they're good.
100%.
Hell yeah.
Favorite characters.
Favorite characters? All right, jumping in. So, man, that's tough because it's really okay. Again, this is a first impressions episode, so I guess it's not. I could recant the statement later, but I like Bam himself. He's quite the ladies' man too. I don't even know if it's just luck or his dashing good looks, apparently, because there are 2 times within 5 minutes on his first trial that he gets by
in the first
or gets
episode.
to advance, literally because he is found to be conventionally attractive by 2 different women. And I'm like, if you got it, man, like flaunt it. I was just laughing at that.
They're not only like 2, like, it's not just 2 women. They're like practically
one is a
gods
princess
in this
and
world,
one is a
dude.
literal goddess, and they're both like, you know what? We don't ever normally do this, but I'm gonna fuck with you because you're kind of cute. And it's like, really, that's what it takes to get you guys. Okay, shit.
Yeah,
like,
damn.
That's why, like, when they're like,
a
lot of this, but apparently a lot of these stakes and stuff are left up to luck. I'm like, well, fuck, dude. Like, fuck this nigga if he wasn't handsome, because he'd be dead by now. Like, I guess him being attractive is what got him
pays to be
this
pretty,
far.
Huh?
Like, shit.
No, it's so funny, man. Isaiah, you had to love that princess chick.
Don't
princess.
even. I loved her, and you know me. I fucking
know
saw
Isaiah
her when
did,
she
though,
kicked him in the
demeanor.
face, and I was like,
wrong? Am I wrong? I'll be very surprised.
She was definitely hot. She was definitely hot.
It just totally reminded me of you because it was like, this is exactly the kind of chick that I know Isaiah would be falling over, but because she knew she was hot shit, and she's like, I'm bored at everything, so appease me. That was great. But yeah, so I mean, I like Bam himself. He's pretty awesome, I would say, because again, he seems pretty innocent. He's a little he's there. I would definitely say he's one track minded, of course, which could sometimes lead to a boring character, so I hope that doesn't happen in the future of the show, but I liked him so far. And obviously I like the alligator guy. He was great. I mean, he was just funny as hell.
There's no way you
and
didn't like him.
Yeah, no, he was awesome. And like what his faces he made when he was like confused were hilarious.
I love it because it's so like simplistic, but like it's just anime, like that's his anime face.
It's so good.
And it's like so good.
It's so good with that, like with these characters too, because it's like we're in a world right now where it's like only the strong are here, right? Like even in the second test, 400 people are there, 200 get eliminated, and even the one guy that with the briefcase, I can't remember his name, and the blue earring, who's very strong and
Khun.
has mystery, surrounding him, is like, why I didn't try and kill people. I'm trying to like gain allies, and it makes sense. So again, it alludes to this point that it's like everyone in this world, and especially the more we climb the tower, is a formidable person or opponent or thing, right? Like that's just it. So it's funny because in any other circumstance, the alligator guy would be like the pinnacle, right? Like maybe if it's from his home world or whatever, because we haven't got that explained, or whatever the case might be, right? And it's funny that it's like for someone that badass, like he just gets like tripped up and confused and fucked up by Khan. You know what I mean? Like in that episode, I just thought that was funny, because it was like that shouldn't be happening. You know what I mean? It was like he was so confused as to why it was happening and just did not know how to handle it at all. And it was just the funniest thing ever. I just thought that was a funny character personally. But what do you guys think on who do you like?
I'll let Jose go next. I'm curious.
I don't really. I guess if I had to pick a character, it'd probably be, what was his name, Gavin? The guy with the blue hair?
Khun. Yeah.
It was
Khan.
It'd probably be him, just because he seems like the most like level-headed and isn't like very. I mean, like, we said again, like 2 episodes, we haven't really gotten any character intros for most of these guys, so we don't know a whole lot about anybody. But again, I guess just his instinct to be thrown into that situation and not, unlike everybody else, immediately just start killing people and be like, well, let me find out what the fuck's going on here. Like, I'm not trying to be played by this game. I'm trying to like beat the game. And I mean, like, he's clearly, even if it's just like in intellect alone, or intuition or experience, a cut above everybody else, because he's literally one of the only people that didn't immediately resort to killing like everybody that was around them. But like we saw with the giant lizard dude when he meets with Bam, like he, if need be, he clearly can handle himself. And I think, well, actually, it was the one guy, like when he first gets thrown into the world, the one guy that comes up to him. But yeah, I don't know. Again, like there's not really a whole lot to go on. Like my opinion of him could completely flip if, like, I don't know, next episode or two episodes from now, fucking shit happens. But I don't know. Everybody else is like just a little. I know too little about everybody else, I feel like, to really like be like, yeah, that's my favorite character. Like Bam is.
No, it makes sense because it's a first impression, right? You know?
A lot of his shit is just like Rachel, and it's like that's cool, but like it's not. It's very one-track mind. It's very like, okay, that's your thing. But like he just seems right now, I guess he's very just in that role of protagonist, and there's nothing that really, grabs my attention like from him.
Gavin, who do you got? Who do you got? Who do you got? Who do you got, Gavin?
Well, for me, and I fucked up. It's Khun, like Khun. It's not A-N.
Damn it.
Same difference.
How dare you?
Yeah, Khun. But he is actually my favorite character at the moment, and for slightly different reasons.
Totally makes sense as to why he is, though. He's a pretty cool cat in general.
Oh yeah, and I think that's just it. Like he's very clean in terms of like he's like a sly fox. He knows how to get around. He knows what he's doing. He knows his strengths. He knows his weaknesses. He kind of reminds me of like an Askeladd in a sense, where he knows his enemies in regards of how to like manipulate them and kind of get what he wants and like skillfully maneuver around them. And I feel like that's what makes him a dangerous presence in the show, because I don't know if you guys remember at the very end of the second episode, the ranker that we meet, he told the Bam like, hey, don't get like too acquainted with Khun because and then just like walks away more or less. He's
that
like,
was something
don't
I found
really
very
don't trust him.
Yeah, because I feel like there's more shrouded with that character, obviously, than we know, and that's what makes him pretty interesting. But continue.
Yeah, and they even kind of inference that with Khun himself when he first initially like decided to become acquainted with Bam, and his reasoning behind it. He's like, well, I was really looking for someone with their own like mindset that's not of this world, more or less. And at the very tail end of it, he's like, plus, the princess kind of like has something for, like, he has it in with the princess a little bit, so it can't hurt to like, be acquainted with him because that's just like an added bonus. Like,
I feel like it's interesting because he goes off of curiosity, I would say. It's like he's clearly a step above a lot of the characters in here, yet he constantly wants to learn and be intrigued. And like, you know what I mean? Almost as if it's like, because at that point he's going to leave Bam in the first episode, but then he's like, he notices that he has the sword, which is a very important weapon, and given by the princess. And he's like, okay, this is just too interesting for me to leave now, right? Where it's like he could probably pair up with any three people or have done anything he wanted and got along just fine, but like a lot of his motivations are driven by curiosity, I would say, which makes him an interesting character, and kind of a wild card, I would think. You know what I mean? Because it's like curiosity could take the form of literally anything. It can change on a whim, whereas someone like Bam, again, one-track minded at the moment, is strictly after Rachel, right? So like anything that happens in this world and any decision he makes most likely is going to be associated with achieving said goal. I got to meet Rachel again, right? Whereas like Khun is like, yeah, well, this seems interesting in the moment, but at any given second, he could just completely be turned on its head. And that's why I find that character, I could see why you guys find him interesting. I definitely found him very interesting as well.
I feel like he has very dirty motivations too. Like, we don't know much about him, but I definitely feel like he has either a shitty upbringing or something really snaky coming up in the future, because I have a feeling he's going to fuck over Bam in some way, shape, or form, almost like pull a Griffith on him. But I don't know, dude. I'm fucking ready. And something's with that briefcase, dude. When he was trying to get through that like wall barrier and it was holding him, there's something with that, and I don't know if it's the knife that's in there, whether it's like a tie to another world or something. I don't know, but I am so
I have a feeling
ready.
I have a feeling that he's been in the tower before. I actually think that he's not going to be like that. He's not going to turn out to be like, the secret bad guy. That like he's actually probably the good guy, because I have a feeling that that's why the Ranker was so cautious of him and didn't want Bam associating with him, purely because he doesn't want that guy Khun to gain another ally, because the Ranker sees some sort of potential in Bam. So he's like, all right, if I can keep, you know what I mean? I mean, that's it, again, at least from what I've seen, the main premise of like this whole like the test and like going up the different floors of the tower is to weed people out, right? So they're like the people who, the Rankers and presumably whoever else is obviously higher than him, that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for the best of this bunch, and clearly, for some reason Bam is like, he's got something going on that nobody else does. And so I think they don't want him allying with Khun, but I think Khun is actually like the good guy, and I think this isn't his first time here, which is what I interpreted that briefcase thing. It was like something that he maybe brought that he knows he's gonna need, but maybe even is it like, I don't know. I don't even want to like, because it's so out there, but like
I think that's what makes it an interesting topic of conversation though, right? Because it's like you really don't know, and I think that's kind of part of the fun in what we're doing right now, in that it's only first impressions, because in doing this, right, like if somebody hasn't watched the show yet, like I know for me it's like, okay, now I want to know more, and I feel like through explaining it, because we know so little, it makes it an interesting thing, because he could be a good guy, he could be a bad guy, we don't know. I do agree with you that I think he's been in the tower, or at least elevated in a higher level at some point before. He might even be a former, I don't know, because the other former, right, that's what they're called, knows him. You know what I mean?
No,
Rankers. Sorry, I don't know why I thought of former. Ranker, he could be one, maybe not, I don't know, but he's definitely shrouded in mystery. I also wanted to throw out now that the guy, I forgot to look him up, so I apologize in advance. The guy who voices, what am I doing? I'm on a computer right now. Hang on. Who voices?
The Ranker? Are you talking about the guy who voices the Ranker?
Yeah, he's Overhaul. Again. He's
no fucking way.
Yeah, dead ass. Hang on.
Really?
The guy who voices the Ranker, because I noted specifically how good so the Ranker was probably my favorite voice actor out of this whole show.
Yeah,
like,
I'm almost.
just his
I could
introduction.
be wrong,
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him too.
But if that's Overhaul, dude, I will literally shit my pants right now because I wanted to like make a point to say how good of a voice actor he is, and I don't know what to do with myself.
Hang on. This is the beauty of doing this online in quarantine. Okay, I could be wrong here. So the Overhaul voice actor is Kenjiro Suda with a T, a silent T. So let's see. Do we know what that guy's name was in the show at all? So we got Tower of God.
I think he's just the Ranker.
Ranker, Japanese voice actor.
I mean, you could probably just look up Tower God characters, and then.
I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, people, because I'm not going to spend 30 minutes trying to look this up for you guys.
Wait. Lero Ro is his name. Lero Ro. Like, that's the character name. So, Lero. I fucking can't speak English.
Go.
Voice.
Well, that's probably
voice. What? All right. So, the voice actor is Kenjiro Suda.
Yep, that's him. That's Overhaul. Yep, dude, that guy. Now that I've obviously been way more steeped in anime ever since starting this and stuff and watching so many subs, you start to pick up obviously on like certain similar voices, just like you would in like English voice acting and stuff like that as well, and recognizing them. And that guy has like the most distinct voice I think I've ever heard from a Japanese voice actor, next to the guy who does like Dio, that I'm like, okay, I pick him out every time. And I was just watching JoJo the other day. He was a character in JoJo. I was like, holy shit. He was in that ID Invaded show that we reviewed a while back. He's in this show. He was Overhaul. He's like so many things. It's crazy. And it's like, I keep on spotting him and I'm like, I don't think anyone in this world could sound like that guy if they tried. Like, it's pretty crazy. I'm glad that you picked up on that too, Gavin, because, yeah. Why you didn't fuck with it?
That's insane. But it didn't sound like Overhaul.
Yeah, I would.
Like, I heard the voice.
It totally did.
No, I gotta re-listen to it.
For me, it
like,
did. I mean, I picked it up literally
Really?
immediately, so I would say it did. I mean, for me,
I found
anyway,
I found it awkwardly like soothing. Like I was listening to it and I'm like, I could listen to like ASMR of that shit. Like I thoroughly like it calmed me down. Like I loved it.
He's good,
and
man.
I
Guy's
cannot
good at what
believe
he
that it's
does.
Overhaul.
It's got that soothing bad guy voice.
He's good at what he
down.
does, dude. I'm telling you now. Just like pick up on it when you're watching animes now. When that guy's voice comes up, you're not gonna be able to miss it. Now.
I mean, I've done it for other characters, like the Japanese voice actor for Tanjiro. I know him from a couple other shows that I watch, and I can pick his voice out of like a crowd. I guess it just depends on like certain voices. Like certain voices you just jive with, and certain ones you
true.
You
Yeah,
resonate
things
with.
that you attracted to. Yeah,
Damn,
that makes a lot
my
of
mind
sense.
is blown right now.
I definitely know that I really fucked heavy with Overhaul and that was the first that I was introduced, or at least that I was like introduced and full well knew I was introduced, if that makes sense, to that voice. And I was like, I really like that voice. And then I know from there, like I've been able to pick up on it immediately, like every time, because I'm like, I've not heard anyone else that remotely sounds close to that guy. But anyway, interesting stuff. You start to pick up on this sort of thing. I wanted to say one more thing that I thoroughly enjoyed about this show, in the puzzles that it presented, and because they're fast paced, it's nice because again, this has been done before. It kind of gave me like Hunter x Hunter vibes. I know you guys have not seen that show yet, but A, really good show. Watch it if you haven't. B, there's like a very similar arc where it's like they go through it quickly and it's not necessarily a tower and it's not like the whole premise of the show, but a lot of there's a lot of very hidden meanings beyond, skin deep, that when you peel it back, it's like, okay, in his first test, when it's like, okay, it's impossible to avoid the eel, so he had to be eaten from it and face his fear, right? And then the eel spits him out and doesn't fuck with him anymore. Or like when the guys are killing each other, that guy's like, why, like there's always a different perspective. Why are we not looking for allies instead? Because your allies are going to be strong if they survive, or whatever the case might be. I thought it was an interesting little turn where it's like you kind of have to change the way in which you look at life in order to solve a lot of these puzzles. And again, there weren't too many because we're only 2 episodes deep, but I enjoyed where that was going. And I hope that they throw a lot of like mind boggling things in there to continue. It's not just like straight up combat, because I think that makes it very interesting. But just wanted to throw that
I
out.
agree.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there's the opening scene, I guess, where he is facing that giant, like, you know, the lizard thing, whatever that was called, and like, so you have that you know, that was the first test, right? Is that he had to face his fear of death, but like, I don't know how he would have known that, right? Because he literally, when he was talking with Rachel at the very beginning, right, when she presumably was also going into the tower, now I don't know if she got taken to like a different part of the tower because there's like something special about her, or what have you. But like, I don't know, that first half of the first episode, I feel like it hit like 90 different points in like 5 seconds. And I feel like it wasn't even enough time for the characters, for me to grasp like why everybody knew what was going on, let alone how Bam knew. You know, like it was just
That's
like,
a valid argument. That's
like,
a valid
he
argument. I
literally
guess
went into the tower, and then 5 seconds after he was walking, he just took that sword from the girl and walked in there. And I was like, whoa, dude, wait, you don't even know like what, like where that thing came from. You don't, like, you've never used it was a lot of like, all right, we're going in and doing it. And like what do they call him? The caretaker, the weird, like, you know, white dude with the staff. Was like, I get, he was literally like, you know, like pushing everything. He's like, all right, just like, let's do this. Just keep going. Just move. Just go forward. And I'm like, it was just very fast.
Wait. I
think that fate has a big thing to play in this, and I feel as if I were to give an example as to why I think that it could make sense, although I do see your argument, and I think it's very valid. I just want to preface that. But I would say that, again, I think there's something different to Bam, where it's like, we don't know what that is yet, but like, the fact he inherently knows these things, and almost he doesn't even know why, it's just like natural to him, right? It's like this I don't want to say like pure soul, but like he understands these things without having to go through like life's, you know, trials or learn them like the hard way. It's like he knows, and as far as why he knows, we don't know why, but that's what makes him special, right? And it's like, okay, you could call bullshit and be like, okay, there's no way he would have known that, or I think it's silly that he did. But I think the point of his character, at least what they're trying to show so far, is that Bam, unlike everyone else in every way possible. And it's like, that's just another example of how he is. As far as the other characters knowing, I think it is implied, well, the Keeper obviously has seen every applicant that has gone into this tower, who, whether they passed or failed, and what they did to do so. So I guess it would make sense for him to know what the test was about the whole time. As far as the princess and the military guy that's with her, it seems that they are familiar with the tower. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it seemed like they almost figured it out as it happened. Like, that they're like, oh, it clicked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it just seems like, well, because the princess and I was getting kind of a vibe that like they've also done this once before, or you know, maybe even enough to like know. It was just, if that was the case and they were going for like the Bam just knows because he's special, like, again, for me, a character note, it's like, all right, but that's like not interesting. Like, I don't want a main character that can just get through shit because he can. You know, I want him to earn his place in the tower. I want him to, like, you know what I mean? I want him to, and like, you know, with the sword and all that stuff, they do hint that like he's obviously gonna, you know, I don't know what kind of training he's going to go through and like get stronger and become a more capable fighter or whatever. But like literally the first 3 problems that he has in the show, he gets through by like the actual definition of luck. And so, like,
well, hold on. I want to add a little bit on that, not to cut you off, but I think an important point in this is the fact that he is an irregular and he doesn't follow the rules of this world. And that was mentioned with the Ranker, especially later on, where he was kind of explaining the role, like who an irregular is off of Bam's question. And he was pretty much following up to is irregulars are way too strong in this world. And then he got cut off there from, you know, a existing plot. But it really sounds like that at one point irregulars were a prevalent threat in this world, and they rattled it in some way, shape, or form to make them more cautious to begin with. And I believe that's why in the beginning the warden set Bam at such a high level right off the bat, because of what pre-existing thing that occurred in this tower with other irregulars, with them having so much power. And that's what he said was, this kid had like if he needs to earn his spot in this tower by having immense power, because that's what irregulars are. They have great power. Just the fact that they got into this realm to begin with. And that's like that whole kind of plot with the princess, like, hey, you don't like just because he's an irregular, you know, or whatever, like that doesn't mean that he has the whole like mental combat mindset and all the shit. And he's just like, no, I only care about Rachel, just let me do whatever I need to do, and he just runs headfirst into it. Like that dynamic didn't seem unnatural to me, because that's kind of like the purpose of kind of putting all the puzzle pieces together. Because obviously some shit has happened in the past, and like the fact that he has no ties to this tower. He's like the odd man out. He kind of like blurs all the lines in terms of like the physics of the tower and like how outside things move around him and affect him. Like,
that makes sense.
He could have
He's
it's
I
all
understand,
different for
like,
him.
I guess
an anomaly.
that-
I think that both of you guys actually hit very valid points. I don't want to go too long with this, just because we're hitting like a 45-minute mark here. But I could definitely see argument for Isaiah's point 110% as well as Gavin's on that. Let us know what your thoughts are on it. Do you jive with the fact that he's already kind of OP by luck's sake? Do you not jive with it? What are your reasons for it? Because I think there's a discussion to be had around it, and I think that's what makes him, or at least this show, an interesting topic of discussion. But with wrapping it up now, I wonder if A, you guys have any closing thoughts, and B, if you don't, or if you do, say them, and then let me know what you think of the show. If you had to give it by first impression, 1 out of 10 rating, and would you recommend it as a watch to others, and are you going to continue watching it yourself? Gavin, what do you got?
I'd probably I really don't have any final thoughts. That pretty much I said my piece on that. Off the bat, I'd probably give it a good like 7.5, 7-ish. Like around that range. Like I actually thought it was really well put together for the first 2 episodes. I was enjoyed by it, and I'm actually probably going to watch it moving forward. And that could either rise or lower, but I'd say a solid 7. It executed well, and it showed me some different stuff. Even if the ideas weren't totally out of this water new, it didn't seem redundant in my opinion. So
Cool.
That's a plus.
Would you recommend it to others to watch, and do you think you're going to continue to watch it?
Yeah, especially I feel like people who more are in the realms of liking sword art and shows like that, I think, because I have a couple friends who are in that realm of just anime. Everybody has their own taste, obviously, and I feel like it'll just kind of like be more of a favorite for those kind of watchers in anime. Maybe not as much like philosophical thrillers per se, you know, as like one of us maybe, but I thought it was enjoyable, and if I fuck with it, I'm gonna make my friends fuck with it, so I will recommend it.
As all anime watchers do. If I remotely enjoyed it, everyone better enjoy it. Isaiah, what do you got?
I'm gonna fucking murder them.
Closing thoughts, rating, would you watch it? Do you think others should?
Well, I guess same thing as Gavin. Kind of said my piece on, thoughts. I think it's an entertaining show. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's unfair to rate it just because, like, again, there's just so little.
First impression.
I would
you
just be rating the episodes.
Sure,
yeah.
just your first impression.
I'm just gonna leave it at like a 5, base, middle, like, because you know what I mean.
Right.
There's room to improve. There's room to go. It could go either way. Yeah, and I don't know, because I don't even want to. I wouldn't recommend it because I would want to wait until there's like at least, I don't know, like 4 like enough to be like, all right, this is where the show goes, and like I think you should watch it. But I definitely think it's entertaining. I think it's a cool concept. I'm probably not gonna like watch it like week to week or whenever it comes out. I'll probably also wait until like a couple more episodes come out, and then I'll, like, you know what I mean, once it's like, I don't know, let's say like 8 episodes in or 7 episodes in, go through that like little chunk, and then like I'll have more of an opinion.
Yeah, it seems like a very bingey show, like not a week to week. It's more like get it all out and then watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the older I get, the more I say that for almost every show now. But unless it's just like I gotta see this. But no, interesting thoughts. I would say just a like quick closing remark is that we haven't. I don't think, now that I'm trying to track back every episode we've ever done in my mind at this exact moment, we haven't really done many first impression episodes, if any. We generally do review, right? So it's like we've seen at least 5+ episodes and depending on what your definition of reviews or first impressions are, maybe to you that takes 10 episodes, maybe it takes 20, maybe it takes a whole season, etc. But I feel like this is a relatively new thing that we kind of ventured into. So let us know if you like it. I thought it was an interesting discussion. I do like it. And being that it is a first impression, that's exactly what I'm rating it off of, right? Like if you meet someone for the first time and they rub you the wrong way, or you think, hey, this guy's a pretty cool guy, you can't really, judge the content of that person's character fully, or at least you shouldn't, right? If you're taking a smarter approach, but you could at least, get a vibe where it's like, well, would I come back and hang out with this person again or not? And I think that's what this episode was trying to convey, right? So with that being said, I would say my first impression of the show based off 2 episodes, I would give the show a solid 7.5. I'll say a 7.5 to top it off. I thought that it was similar yet different, which was cool to me. I like that, and I'm excited that it was the way it was and is. So I think that's really cool, and it's very interesting, and I'm very interested to see where these characters go, and I'm hoping that they flesh out in all the best sort of ways. Would I recommend people to watch it? I would right now. I would say to at least give it a shot because I don't think that there's anything blaring in this show that makes me detest it. So that's good. And I think that I will continue to watch this, but I will probably be on the same wavelength as Isaiah, where it's not something that I'm going to be jumping out of my skin to watch on a week-to-week basis. It'll probably be new episode's up, or, I missed a week, whatever. Let me get back to that and see where we are. And I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised by where the show goes. But anyway, that's our thoughts on the show. That's our closing remarks. Thank you guys so much for listening today. Again, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube, and follow everything else wherever else you are. I won't go through the whole spiel again. You already know the deal. Again, folks, though, thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Bye.
Peace.
Hey folks, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our new episodes.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AoA Podcast if you want to keep up with our content or suggest new ideas for the show.
You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week to talk about all things anime.